Welcome to this week's Dream Card judging video here at BOTB. We'd now like to hand over to today's lawyer from Onside Law who'll oversee the proceedings.
My name's Alexander Martin from Onside Law and I'll be overseeing the judging this morning. Firstly, I can confirm that the competition data has already been sent to the auditing company Assets. I would now like today's judges to introduce themselves and using the secure link provided, mark on the screen where they think the centre of the ball should be. The group will then come to a final panel decision.
Good morning, my name is Matt Cannon. I'm a senior county referee and footballer.
I'm Nigel Hicks. I've been a Supply League match official for the best part of 30 years and I'm an experienced football administrator.
Hi, my name is Matthew Ray. I've affiliated in multiple counties across England, currently in Gloucestershire, and have refereed from grassroots through to professional academies.
Hi, my name's Renee Hector and I play football for Watford FC Women and I'm a coach for Tottenham Hotspur Foundation.
My name's Peter Giorgio and I am a futsal and football referee.
Hi, my name is Aaron Mendonca. I've been involved in football for over 30 years, firstly as a player and then as a referee.
Good morning, my name is Alain Goma. I'm an ex-professional football player, having played for Paris Saint-Germain, Newcastle and Fulham.
Good morning, my name's Andy Braithwaite and I'm a football referee, mentor and licensed observer.
Hi, my name is Kieran Fitzgibbon. I've played football for more than 30 years and I'm now a senior county referee.
My name's Liam Walsh. I'm a retired referee, currently an FA observer and head coach for the Middlesex Referees Academy.
Judges, please now come to a final panel decision. For your reference, the larger white cross is the calculated average of the 10 individual selections.
Thanks very much, Alex. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Good morning.
So we have two players in shot. The player in green and white looks to me like he's almost on his way down. His arms are up and his shirt's ruffled. He's got a frown on his forehead, mouth open, and he's looking up. And I'll draw some lines up from his eyes. We've got quite a tight band up from him through Peter's there. And then the lower one, which comes through Aries, I think, at the bottom there. And then we have this other guy in black with white sleeves who's leaning back. He's a bit blurred. So to my mind, because he looks that he's in sort of roughly in the same line as the other player, which means he's sort of in motion. He looks like he's maybe falling away. So maybe he's stopping himself from clattering into the player. And we've got two eyes. We can see them, but they're slightly blurred. And there's Andy's at the top. And quite a lot lower, we have Peter down here at the bottom. Oh, sorry, I'll undo that one. And there's Peter's there. So I'll come straight to you, Peter. Yes. I'll highlight yours there at the bottom, and I'll put the magnifier over, which shows it really close to the green and white player's head. How did you see what was happening?
I felt that the player in the green and white was at the top of his jump and the ball was on top of him. And but by the way, the body language of his arms already there, up, he's already up, pushing himself up. And what I've done is taken the cross-reference from the player in black, which is further down to the right. And I just felt he was looking closer to the player's head in green and white by the angle of his head rather than further up. So that's where I've got the cross there.
Thank you very much.
My sensor.
Yeah. Matthew, I'll come to you. You're just sort of in line with Peter's, but a bit further up in the centre. There you are there. How did you see the photo and what was happening?
So I think he's pretty much at the top of his jump. I'm looking at his arms, and I can see his right hand is just starting to clench. I sort of view that as he's just about to bring his arms back and move his head forward. So I don't think the head is too far away. His eyes aren't closed, so I don't think that the ball's right on top of him. But I do think he's looking quite steeply up, as white under his eye. And I've sort of taken that angle up and just judged the distance based solely on the player in green rather than the player in black.
Okay, thank you very much. Rennie, you're down here. I've highlighted your big blue cross. You're just at the sort of the bottom of the main cluster next to Liam. I'll put the magnifier of yours. How have you seen this?
Yeah, similarly to what Matthew said, I feel like he hasn't made contact with the ball yet. I think because his neck sort of wound back and his arms are in front and starting to clench his fist, I believe he's going to throw his arms back and his head forward to try and make contact with the ball. So I think he is towards the top of his jump and it's relatively close to him, but it's not right on top of him yet because I don't think he's made contact with the ball. I believe the player in black and white clearly doesn't fancy the challenge and he's probably just decelerating but just looking in towards the direction of the ball. So
yeah, thanks, Rennie, because it should be noted I didn't say that his back of his neck, as you pointed out, is sort of wrinkled as well as his forehead, so his head is sort of back. So thank you for that. Nigel, I'll highlight yours. You're again in the main sort of cluster here. How did you see the photo and the shot and what's happening?
Morning, everyone. Thanks, Matt. Well, similar to Renee, I feel he's pretty much towards the top of his jump. Pulling his head back to head it forward, to bring his head forward to head it. And his body language suggests that the shirt slightly out away from the body suggests that he's just hanging in the air waiting for that ball just to drop in. The player in black, I think he realised he's not going to get there in time, and looks like he's trying to avoid a collision or coming underneath the guy. And from the angle of his eyes looking up, that's why I put my cross where I have.
Great, thank you very much. Alain, you're in the centre of us all here. I'll magnify yours here. How did you see the photo? Anything different, or do you concur so far with the judges?
Yeah, no, similar to my colleague judges. I think the player in white and green hasn't played the ball yet. As Chloe mentioned, he's got his head tilted backwards. If he would have headed the ball, I think his head would be, further forward. And yeah, I think he's looking quite steeply. For the distance, I used the player in black. His eyes are a bit blurry, so it was difficult to determine the distance from the ball to the player in green and white. But I try to. I thought there was still a bit of distance for the ball to travel before the player in green had the ball.
Yeah, thank you very much indeed. Ari, I'll come to you next. There's your cross. You're just to the right side of the main cluster here, and I'll highlight yours. You're in line with Liam's at the bottom. How did you see the photo and the challenge?
Well, similar as my colleagues, I felt that the player in green and white is in full steam. He's still moving towards the ball, he's about to run over the player in black and white. We can see his defensive position over there, but he's still looking at the ball. And as Rene mentioned, his head is tilted back, and from the player in green and white, I can see his right hand starting to close a little bit. This is like a movement that normally you do before adding the ball. You kind of tend to do a fist over there, and that's why I felt that the ball still has a bit of distance from his head. And then crossing reference with the player in black and white, I decided that my center of the ball should be there.
Yeah, that's a good point, because I think someone else mentioned it earlier. You claw your hands back to give you that power.
Yeah.
So that's great. Thank you. Kieran, I'll come to you. You're just at the top of what I would describe as the main cluster. How have you seen the photo and what was happening?
Yes, thanks, Matt. Yeah, I'm much the same as my colleagues here. A couple of things I'd like to mention is that I think the player in green and white is just stretching for the ball. It's not a clean, he's not coming in, running in to make a clean header where he's in complete control. He just seems to be stretching up a little bit as though he may be slightly misjudging it or having to reach for the ball. I agree with the player in black and white. I think he's just looking the general direction and he's shying away from the challenge, and therefore he may not be looking directly at the ball, maybe somewhere between the ball and the player, knowing that the player is going to make the ball. So that's why I placed my cross where I did.
Okay, thank you very much indeed. And lastly, Andy, you're here. You're at the top of the group. How have you seen the photo and what was happening?
Thanks, Matt. I can't really add any more to what everybody's been saying about the guy in green and white. That's pretty standard. But I felt that the guy who's falling away to the right in black and white, I just felt he was looking a little bit sharper. If you could do me a favour, if possible, sorry, Peter, can you take Peter's cross out? Because I feel that that's pulled, from my perspective, the whole average a bit further south than it should be. So
yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, so I was getting there, but yeah,
right, yeah.
But I appreciate what you're saying. It's not a great
deal, yeah. But as I said, personally, I took a lot more from the guy in black and white. I just felt that he was just looking at a tad sharper, a fraction sharper to upwards. But as I said, I can't add any more to what's been said about green and white.
Yeah, great, thank you. And Liam, so you're here. You're just below everyone else is here in the main cluster. I would describe. You are highlighting yours. How have you seen the challenge or lack of challenge? What's happening with the player?
I can only realistically echo what Rene and Nigel have both said, Matt, because they're sort of like just right next to me. Yeah. In that you've got the green guy, jumping for the ball. I feel it's sort of like imminent that he's going to head the ball due to the wrinkles on his neck, his arms, etc., etc. I've taken the angle of his eyes to get the pitch that way, and then again with the guy in the black and white shirt, yes, I feel he's just falling backwards, and I've looked on his used his head and eye angle to get the line coming up from him.
Yeah, great, thank you very much. So that's a good discussion, lots of really good points. What I will do, I will remove Peter's choice. I'll draw another line in, and principally the reason behind that it is exponentially that Peters is quite a lot further away from the rest of us. And although Andy said that it does move this average a little bit, it's, as we've said before, an awful lot of pixels. So now this up here encompasses pretty much everybody's apart from Andy's, which is just coming out of the top. And again, if I was to remove Andy's, it sort of settles into the middle of us as a panel, as a group. So what I like to do is proceed with Peter's removed and a vote to see whether the Andy's should be left in, which brings it here. And it should be noted with Andy's in, there's, I think, 4, 5 above with Andy's. And if we remove him, it drops in, and there's a few more below. But then I think that we have Kieran's above and Ari's above, which does sort of drop the average around. So hopefully that's all understood. Personally, I think that it's better with Andy's removed. So I'm going to start off and say I'm going to move Andy. Nigel?
Thanks, Matt. Could I ask, could you just put Andy's back in and just centre that cross again, the circle over the cross for us? I just want to see how much of the cross is covered by the...
Yeah, Matt, could you do that for both of them? With him out in and with him out, just do that for both of them, just so we get a judgment of what the ball is, because it just takes a second to...
Thank you.
Yeah, I will do, but we're not judging or voting to leave Peters in. Peters is going to be removed.
Sorry, not Peters. No, with Andy's in and with Andy's out. There's those two
bigger
positions.
Yeah, okay. So that's with Andy in, and that's with Andy out.
Yeah, I'm going to go Andy out then, please, Matt. I think it's just a bit outside, a bit too far off the edge of the circle, and I think it just moves across a little bit further north with him in.
Thank you. And Matthew?
Yeah, I'd have Andy out too. I just think the ball's that bit closer to the player in green.
Yeah, thank you. Rennie?
Yeah, I'd have Andy out. I think it's just a little bit too far away for me.
Yeah, thank you. Peter?
Yes, it brings it more south, which was more in line with where I would have had it. So yes, out.
Thank you. Ari?
Out as well for me.
Yeah, thank you. Alain?
Matt, can I ask you to put him back just to see, briefly the average? Yeah, I would keep him in because I think, he's looking quite steeply to play in green, and I think the average is better, a bit higher.
Thank you very much indeed. Kieran?
Yeah, I'm with Alan on that one. I think it's better there with Andy in.
And lastly, Liam?
Remove, please, Matt, due to the criteria we were given.
Yeah, okay, thank you. So we've got a big vote. We've voted to judge at this average with both Andy and Peter's removed. And I clarify that I removed Peter's choice and the vote was to remove Andy's, which brings, I think, in a really good central position encompassing all the rest of the choices. So Alex, we decided to proceed in that way.
Thank you. If you're all happy, then please click submit. Thank you, judges. The coordinates selected are X1492, Y879. These coordinates will now be passed to the auditing company assets to calculate the winner of the competition, and they will then inform BOTB. That concludes the judging process. Thank you.